I, 27 male, unfortunately got my girlfriend, 25 female, pregnant 3 months into dating. She was on birth control, but it failed. In hindsight, I should have also used protection, but I figured the birth control was supposed to be 99.9% effective. I never thought I'd be that 0.1%. After getting pregnant, she changed her mind and wanted to keep it. I won't lie that I'm not happy about this decision, but I realize it's her choice, and I don't get a say. It is what it is. She's now almost 7 months pregnant and very much showing. Her parents are very traditional, and her dad is a relatively well-known person in his community. He has a somewhat high-profile job as well, even has his own Wikipedia page. To say her parents are trying to get us to get married before the kid is born is putting it lightly. It started off just expecting, "So, when are you getting married?" And now it's been more, "You better get married before this kid is born, because my grandkid won't be a bastard." Personally, I'm not interested in marriage. My parents are both married and divorced twice. Most marriages in my extended family have gone the same, and I just don't really care for the institution. Not knocking it for people who choose it, but it's not for me. Even if it were, I wouldn't feel ready to marry my girlfriend anyway, because we still haven't even been together for a full year. I'd want to date for at least 2 years before getting married. With my girlfriend, I'm not sure if we'd really even be together had she not gotten pregnant. I would rather see if we can make ourselves work than not try, but I'm not keen on jumping into marriage just because there'd be a kid in the picture. I think she's a great person, but I wouldn't say I feel like I'm in love with her. The girlfriend started off indifferent, but is now trying to get married as well. I don't think it's so much she wants to be married to me, as much as her parents have convinced her that she'll be an embarrassment to have a kid out of wedlock. In a twist, last week, her father offered to buy the ring, pay for the wedding, and give me $100K to get married before the kid is born. Not to be nice, but save himself from what he feels is an embarrassment. The whole thing just feels slimy to me. We'd both have good jobs, and while the money would be nice, we don't really need it. I make enough in my job to provide for the kid, as does she. Am I the idiot for not just sucking it up and marrying her, even if I'm not really in love with her? Not the idiot. Pregnancy is not a valid reason for marriage. Be a good father. Show up and be there for both of them. But if you marry someone you're already unsure about, it will end in resentment on both sides. Don't do it. Also, kids can definitely pick up on that resentment. It's better for the kids to not be married if you don't want to be. Your girlfriend isn't the idiot either. She's 7 months pregnant, so hormones are a mess, and she's got her family breathing down her neck and making her feel like crap when she already has the intimidation of becoming a mother in there. That sounds like an awful situation for both of you. Her family is ruining what should be a time for you all to focus on what it looks like to be a family, together or apart, right now. Maybe once the baby's born, you'll bond way more, and you'll open up to the idea. Maybe not. OP, are you 100% sure she was on birth control? This 1000% feels like a plan. At least get a paternity test before you sign any papers declaring you as the father, OP. You don't want to get suckered into raising a kid that isn't yours. Also, what the heck is this talk about the child being a bastard? We are past that as a society. Don't give in to those antiquated ways. It's not a thing where children would be punished or made fun of. The vast majority of children nowadays don't have married parents. No one thinks twice about it. I disagree. OP, you are the idiot. He told all of us, I'm not really in love with her, but I highly doubt this loser told the girl and her father that. He isn't a man. He's an idiot, stringing that girl along. There's nothing wrong with not getting married to a girl you don't love. There's a crap load wrong with not telling your girlfriend, pregnant with your child, that you don't love her and have no intentions to stick with her, married or otherwise. Seriously though, what the heck is he doing waiting for her to give birth before he breaks up with her? That's insane, at least if he breaks it off now. I, 34 female, have been married for 4 years. I have a stepdaughter, Aita, tween, a bio daughter, Serenity, toddler, and a bio son, Milan, infant. My husband James was married before we met, and he lost his wife when Ada was only a toddler. I met them when Ada was in grammar school, and a year later, my husband and I became more than friends. Ada and I have a difficult relationship. I love her, and I would never take any of this out on her, but she doesn't love me back, and she resists my place in her life. Most people assume that because she doesn't remember her mom, and because she liked me when I was just her dad's friend, I am essentially her mom now, and that our relationship should reflect that. But once the relationship with my husband changed, and Ada became aware, my relationship with her changed. She closed off from me and has remained that way. We've been in therapy together. She's never said why it bothered her that her dad and I started dating. She's been asked by my husband, me, the therapist, and her aunt, my husband's sister, but she never gives an answer. Day to day, I do a lot of caregiving for Ada alongside my bio kids. Even before they arrived, I was primarily the person who did the cooking and was able to leave work if Ada got sick and needed to come home. I spent time with her and have attempted to reignite our bond, but I never got there. I'm available to help with homework if needed. I make sure she has what she needs. I would give it if she wanted comfort, though she usually just rejects it from me. I still love her, but don't consider myself her parent. I never wanted to take her mom's place. I would be thrilled to just be her stepmom, who she trusts. But I never left the she's married to my dad stage with Ada. I know she doesn't see me as a family of any kind because in school, she's had a few projects where they had to do a diagram of people they considered family, and she never added me. But still, most people call me a parent of 3, and some will call me a mom of 3. My husband's parents mentioned recently that I make being a parent of 3 look so easy. They said I probably want a bunch more and to be a mom of many kids since it suits me so well. I was feeling really low that day, and I admitted to them I felt like a fraud when people consider me a parent to 3 because I don't feel like a parent of 3, and I don't feel like I'm Ada's parent. I sort of feel like someone who's just around her more than average. They were shocked and told me I was being silly, and of course I'm her parent. They said I'm basically her mom. I told them Ada would be adamant that I am no mother to her. They got kind of snappy with me and told me I shouldn't take a kid's words to heart. They told me I was going to make Ada feel unloved if I kept feeling the way I did and thinking as I did. My husband got home just then, and he told them to leave and defended me. But the words struck a chord with me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They were probably surprised because that's not the picture they imagined of your family dynamics. However, a word of caution. Don't tell people that, because if your relationship with your stepchild does change, you don't want it to be common knowledge that you had a rough relationship. Being in your place is tough, and I understand why you feel that way. It just might not be the most beneficial for you to share that to most people. You are the idiot. I think Ada will never look at you like her mother either, nor would she want to forget her mother who passed away. I don't think she dislikes you, but dealing with grief is hard. She's young and acting immature, which she's entitled to do as she is immature. You're the adult and need to be emotionally mature and continue to embrace her, even though I'm sure it's tough. Also, maybe try a different therapist. I can think of at least 4 reasons Ada might withdraw from you that she might have difficulty expressing, but a good therapist, alone or with her dad, should be able to help her express them without putting words in her mouth. I, teen male, go to a British international school, thanks to my dad. My mom's husband, who she cheated on my dad with several years ago when they were together, can't afford to send his son, Jack Teen, to a similar school. She's tried to get my dad to withdraw me and send me to a public school instead because it isn't fair on Jack, but my dad said no. She's taken to visiting me when my dad wasn't home and saying that I don't have to be in a fancy private school and that I should talk to my dad about withdrawing. She even told me it was giving me an elitist hobby. I like reading Shakespeare, so I told her that it isn't my fault her husband spent all his money on his mistress, something she's vented about to me before, and that she can't expect me to give up what I have now for the sake of a guy I only see once a month. My mom looked really hurt and said I was being inconsiderate of her feelings before leaving. In fact, it makes your mom massively entitled, not to mention she's picking favorites. She would lower the standard of your education and take you from a school you're happy with just to appease your stepbrother? And the horrible way she's trying to manipulate you into giving it up after she tried to go around you to your dad and it failed. Not the idiot all day. And I suspect her reasoning for it has less to do with fairness, but has more to do with appeasing her new husband and his ego, which makes it even worse. And if she's complaining about a mistress, then it sounds like it won't be long until Jack is no longer a stepbrother anyway. Your schooling situation has nothing to do with Jack, and he doesn't need a fancy school to get the education he needs. Good for you that you like reading Shakespeare. It's a nice hobby. My mom looked really hurt and said I was being inconsiderate of her feelings before leaving. Did she consider your father's feelings when she cheated on him? Or yours? Your dad is paying for it, not her. Point out how you value having the education you're getting. The other kid is not your problem, nor is the feelings of the guy who was instrumental in the breakup of your family. Update. So I called Mom and talked to her about it some more. I made it clear to her that I will never give up any of my opportunities for her stepson's sake. She got upset at me and told me that I was selfish. So I told her that unlike her, at least I'm not a cheater who lost custody by snorting crap in front of her then 11-year-old son. That's it. She won't be bothering me anymore. No contact now. We had a second floor added to our house because of our expanding family. Our street is a big hill, so the house to the right of us is lower than our house. With our house now being 2 stories, it blocks the sun from hitting the majority of our neighbor's house, as well as a good portion of her backyard closest to our house. When we were building during the summer, she was upset, primarily because of her flower beds at the backside of her house stopped getting sun. With the weather getting colder, she says it's making her house much colder because the sun never warms it up now. So now she's having to use her heater even though she doesn't usually have to this time of year. She says she'll now have a huge increase in her gas bill. I did suggest that it might balance out since it would keep her house cooler in the summer since she doesn't have to use her AC as much. She says she never uses her AC though because she likes it warm. Anyway, she wants us to pay for the difference in her gas bill, saying if we had just built out, she wouldn't be having this problem. We didn't build out though because we would have lost a lot of outdoor space we use. She says she'll even show me her past electric and gas bills to prove it. I still don't feel like it's our responsibility to pay for that though. Edit. We did have permits and inspections done. Are you in the right legally? Sure. Are you an idiot for changing this woman's world and then acting like it's not your fault? Also, yes. You are the idiot, OP. Changing her sunlight will cost a lot. Flower beds take years to develop and expand on. Going from a sun garden to shade is insanely expensive. It also changes the value of her garden to prospective buyers. My grandfather and later I bought property based on the sun exposure for our flower beds. It's not a minor thing. My neighbor was building a house next to me. We were talking about how his house would block my view. He kindly lowered his roof line in the back of his house so we could have the view from upstairs. We let them use our driveway when they have guests. We help each other out when needed. A little consideration goes a long way. I feel bad for her that your home expansion negatively affected her property. Yeah, I'd be blaring my music every day until 10 p.m., installing huge lights that point in every window of OP's house, buying a dozen chickens with the loudest rooster I could find, and stacking 50 bags of manure to sit against the fence for them to smell 24/7. OP is super lucky his neighbor isn't as petty as me. I'd straight up ruin every day of their life. Yeah, if I were the neighbor, I'd definitely be bummed. OP's making it sound like they get no sun at all, which would be super sad. But OP is legally within their right. If I were the neighbor, I'd be bummed out. But asking OP to pay the bills is ridiculous. I mean, for how long are they expecting? Forever? Based on what rates? Is it based on kilowatt hours usage? Very curious, to be honest. It may be too expensive to move in this housing climate, but sadly, OP's neighbor will have to deal with it. My daughter's school did not choose her to be valedictorian for graduation, and she's still salty about it. Her high school normally goes with the highest grade point average, but it can be between the top 5 students if one demonstrates high academic achievement, like winning a competition. My daughter was the leader of and won a national robotics competition, and being the top 1 to 2 students, she was sure she would get valedictorian. But the school broke away from their criteria by choosing a girl who had been in a car crash caused by a hit-and-run driver. The girl wasn't badly injured, but her mom died from the accident, and she went on to finish the year with good grades. She wasn't in the top 5 students and only took 1 AP course, whereas most previous valedictorians come from the IB or full AP course load. My son was valedictorian 4 years prior and also did full IB. So my daughter was really angry when she found out because she felt like it was unfair and also thought it was racist because the kids and parents had been complaining only Asian students ever got the award. According to her, the last 8 years, it was always an Asian who had won. And while my daughter is half Asian, so is my son, the school was trying to find a non-Asian to appease the families. She said she would have been okay with the other 5 top students winning, but to give it to someone with just above average grades, when the criteria was about academics, made her feel like she and the other 5, which according to her were all Asians, were discriminated against. I don't know if this is true, and I understand why it's unfair, and even agree with it to an extent. But the girl lost her mother and still finished the year with good grades, and that should be recognized. Also, the valedictorian had been made public, and if my daughter tried to get it overturned, it would make her look like a sore loser. I explained all this to her and told her she was going to MIT already with a partial scholarship, and everyone knew she was smart, so she needed to accept sometimes unfair things happen. She was extremely angry at me for not going to the principal about this, and my wife was also angry because she felt like the school discriminated against our daughter. She's now in her first semester at MIT, and while she likes it, she says most people in her class were valedictorians in their high schools, and she feels like she was robbed when she worked so hard. I thought she would forget this, but it seems like she's still angry about it and not as close to me as before. Am I the idiot for not talking to her school about this when I could? Not the idiot. As unfortunate as that is, and despite how much she does deserve to be valedictorian, I think it's an important lesson in how life can really be unfair and how you have to learn to cope with it. I agree in that I think it would make things worse if you and your wife had fought the school about it. It seems like a world-ending injustice to her now, but she will move on eventually. It just might take a while. It's a life lesson. Valedictorian in the long run will mean nothing. Well, it meant an automatic scholarship for me and less student loans. There are a few scholarships out there that are only given to valedictorians. OP, you are the idiot, in my opinion. Valedictorian is a title awarded for achieving, not being a victim. Your daughter has a very strong case for earning the position, and the person who ended up being awarded valedictorian did not earn it. You can empathize with the student who lost her mother, perhaps even support giving some special recognition without using emotion to justify for giving her a title she didn't earn. I agree with your take. I think OP's daughter is 100% right to be salty. I would be too. The school could have made them both, but instead basically said, I know you worked hard your entire high school career, but we feel bad for this girl, so we're going to pity her instead. And the fact that the mom who watched her daughter work so hard and pushed herself so much didn't step in. This is one of those times where the parent should have gone to the school.